Basil Denson, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. What's
My
on your mind, brother?
question, you said that Charlie Kirk was more influential than Martin Luther King.
Nope, I did not say that. I said he was a better man than Martin Luther King
Okay. Why would you say he's a better man than Martin Luther King?
because he didn't cheat on his wife.
Okay. Now, what would we consider cheating? As in,
Fucking women outside of your marriage.
okay,
Basil, listen,
and you didn't.
Basil, hold on, Basil, hang on a second. I hear you, and I get it, but you got to come stronger than that. Okay,
No, I'm trying to see your stance.
I've made my
Like,
stance
as
clear.
in,
I've
because
made my stance clear. Martin Luther was a good man. Charlie Kirk was a better one, and the differentiator there is Charlie Kirk was faithful to Erica. Dr. Martin Luther King was not faithful to Coretta.
so sleeping with another woman while you're married makes you a bad man.
Didn't say
Because
no,
I
hold on,
think
Basil, hold on, stop right there. I did not say that Martin Luther King Jr. was a bad man. I've never said that. If you watch the video that I just played, Martin Luther King Jr. it was a great man. He deserves his own holiday, and he got one. Okay, that man absolutely changed the world. It is my assertion that as far as moral character, as far as being a faithful husband, Charlie Kirk was a better man than Martin Luther King.
okay, and you're saying it because from like a husband point of view, or as in overall just being a man.
From both, yes.
Okay, so I disagree on just being a man because I think it's within a man's nature to want to have sex with other women, and I don't think it is considered cheating when a man goes and sleeps with another woman.
Okay, well, I do,
Like what?
and I guess that's just a fundamental difference between you and me.
Okay. And do you think, like, compare if you compare things of what they did for um people as a whole, you think Charlie Kirk is on the same level as Martin Luther King, or is
Never
it just
said
the
that.
cheating deal?
No. I never said
Okay.
that, and that's the wrong question to ask. Charlie Kirk and Martin Luther King Jr. both very, very good, great men, highly influential, et cetera, et cetera. Martin Luther King had high character. Charlie Kirk had higher character, and the only differentiating factor is that Charlie Kirk was faithful to his wife, and Martin Luther King Jr. was not. That's it. That doesn't mean Martin Luther King Jr. is a bad person. Doesn't mean that he's a terrible guy. It just means that Charlie Kirk has higher character than Martin Luther King Jr. That's just all there is to it.
I see your point. I just disagree that just because Martin
Why?
Luther King
Because
had
Martin Luther
sex
King is
out of his
black?
while he was in his marriage. No, no, not just because he's black. I think, okay, everybody makes mistakes, but I also think it's within a
Martin Luther
man's
King
nature
Jr.
to
made
want to have
many,
sex with
many,
other women.
many, 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 many mistakes. And Coretta Scott King used to regularly talk about Martin's wandering eye. Does Erica Kirk talk about Charlie's wandering eye? No, because Charlie didn't cheat on Erica. Again, this doesn't mean just
No,
because
but
Martin Luther King Jr. cheated on his wife, this doesn't make him a terrible human being. My overarching point is that character-wise, Charlie Kirk was a better man and a better husband than Martin Luther King Jr. was. And
but
for
you
all
also don't think it's because of the time.
say again.
You also don't think it's because of the time. Like, people were more honest back then versus now. Like,
No,
I
no.
doubt that she would go on like national television and tell the world that he was looking at other women, dealing with other women. I think it's just something that she would not say. Versus back in those times, they were more honest, I believe.
Okay, well, I mean, you can believe what you want. You're wrong. And Martin Luther King Jr. was a devout. Yes, you're wrong because you want to know something. Martin Luther King Jr. was a devout Christian, my friend. And
Yeah.
in the Bible, the God made it very, very clear in the Bible that you should not cheat on your wife. Martin Luther King was contradictory in that way. Again, I want to
Well, it's that's considered a
hold on,
sin.
let me
It's
finish.
considered a sin, but
Hold
every
on, no, no,
man
no, no.
sins,
I need you to
including
let
Kirk.
me finish talking and then I will give you the floor, okay? I said it again. This doesn't mean Martin Luther King is a bad person. It doesn't mean that he's a terrible guy. It just means that Charlie Kirk was a better man, a better husband than Martin Luther King Jr. For all intents and purposes, Martin Luther King Jr., dude, he changed the world. The man literally changed the world. There is no doubt about it. We're not going to have a Charlie Kirk holiday, okay? There's no need for one. We need a Martin Luther King Day because the man literally changed the course of American history. But as we all say, not people are imperfect. And I'm sure that Charlie Kirk probably has his idiosyncrasies and weaknesses. But the worst thing you can do to your wife is to embarrass her publicly by having these orgies with women of the opposite color, and by people of the opposite sex and women of the opposite color. And here's the thing. I don't begrudge Martin Luther King for sleeping around on his wife, and I think that's probably more of an indictment on my character. But I am self-aware enough to know and understand that even though I don't have a problem with what Martin Luther King Jr. did, I know that if there is a God, he probably took off a couple of character points for MLK.
So I disagree because yes, the Bible says you should want to.
You
stay
disagree
faithful.
Because he's black, Basil. No.
Yeah, that's not true at all.
It is
because
true.
Every man sins. Every man sins in the Bible.
Yes, but
so
every man sins. No. Don't give me this. All sins are equal in the eyes of God.
All right.
Okay, Basil. Don't pull this. All sins are equal in the eyes of God. Murder is a lot more serious than stealing a pack of gum from the store.
So
I'm sure Charlie. I'm sure. Hold on. I'm sure. Hang on. Let me finish. I'm sure Charlie Kirk sinned.
Done, though. You cut me
I don't
off.
give a shit. You're gonna let me finish because this is my platform. Okay. I'm sure Charlie Kirk was certainly not without sin. Okay. There are levels to this shit, as people in the nigga community like to say. I'm not gonna make this any more complicated than it has to be. As a matter of fact, it is my opinion that Charlie Kirk was a better man than Martin Luther King. This does not diminish his greatness, but the one distinguishing factor, Martin Luther King was not faithful and Charlie Kirk was. To me, that speaks to a man's character because he probably, think about Charlie Kirk and all of the influence he had. You think Erica Kirk is the only woman who thinks he was attractive? Are you really going to pull this nigga shit? And when I stop talking, you're going to wait for me to tell you that you can talk. Oh, no, I didn't want to interrupt you. Are you really doing that right now? Or are you really just giving me the floor?
I mean, I was going to say, you're asking me a question. I mean, pretty much, no, I don't think so. But I mean, just because he didn't take those options or we didn't hear about it doesn't mean it didn't happen. But I was going to say, that doesn't mean Charlie Kirk has not sinned. And has not done anything worse than cheating on his wife. That's what I'm saying.
Well, let me ask you this. What would be worse than cheating on your wife?
I think politically defending another type of agenda on what's going on in the world.
Here we go. This is it. So, okay. So, and that's okay.
Like
you
genocide.
Can think. I hear you. So, I think what this is I think you and I are on opposite sides of the aisle. My guess is that you're probably not conservative or Republican. You're probably a liberal.
I'm conservative. I'm conservative, but there's still things that go on that I don't 100% agree with.
Okay, that's fine. But what could Charlie have done that's worse than cheating on his wife?
Well, also defending Israel when they're doing wrong, and he has a huge following, which has his followers also follow behind what he's saying. And
that's worse than cheating on your wife?
Yes.
Okay. Well, hey, listen, you
because
are
it
entitled
can influence other people.
Okay, that's fine. But again, listen, this is your opinion, and you are entitled to it. It is my opinion that the reason why you are trying to, and here's the thing, if Charlie Kirk did have, and this whole politically defending this stuff, that's bullshit. That's not a sin, that's an opinion, okay? The fact that you're telling me that you think that defending Israel, and forgive me because I'm not 100%, I'm not as knowledgeable on the Israel situation as like a guy like Myron, so forgive me for my ignorance here. But for you to tell me that defending Israel is a worse sin than cheating on his wife, that's bullshit, because it does not say in the Bible, thou shalt not defend Israel. It says, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not cheat. Wait, sorry about that. Hold on, let me get you back.
I can argue that he knows that what he's saying is wrong, and he's trying to push a type of agenda because a lot of the people he deals with are Zionists. And if he does not agree with Israel, then he will lose funds. Or possibly, which already happened, get assassinated. That's also could be a possibility.
It could be a possibility. But if Charlie Kirk had any indiscretions on his wife or sinned worse than cheating on his wife, we would probably know about it because of his high profile.
I disagree, because a lot of things are put under the rug today. A
So
lot
let
of
me ask
truths
you
are
this.
not being said
Hold
today.
on. Let me ask you this. No, you're right. Let me ask you. Who do you think would be more likely to cheat on their wife, knowing what we know now, Charlie Kirk or Martin Luther King Jr.?
Martin Luther King, but that doesn't make him a bad man. That
I
doesn't
did
go
not,
away
and
everything he
Basil,
said.
I never said that Martin Luther King Jr. was a bad man. I've
Versus
not said
Charlie
that.
Kirk.
No, he is not a bad man versus Charlie Kirk. Martin Luther King was a great man. Okay, Charlie
You
Kirk
think
was
he's
a.
better? You think Kirk's better?
Say again.
And I disagree with you on that one.
Wait. What did you? Hold on.
Much,
Wait. Basil. We can't talk over each other. Back up. Okay. I said Charlie Kirk was a better man than Martin Luther King Jr. I have never once said that Martin Luther King was a bad man.
Yeah, but what you're saying is Charlie Kirk is a greater man just because he did not cheat on his wife.
That's
And I
exactly what I'm
disagree with
saying.
that. And I disagree with that because I believe that Martin Luther King did greater things during his time. I did not. I'm not saying Kirk did not do good things while he was still alive, but what I'm saying is I believe Martin Luther King Jr. was better during his time
Okay.
before
All
he
right.
died. That's
Fair
what I'm
enough.
saying. And
Okay.
I was trying to see what you thought. Well, the reason of why you thought Charlie Kirk was the better man, and you said it was because he
He didn't cheat on
didn't
his
cheat on his
wife.
wife,
Yes.
or it's not out there that he didn't cheat on his wife. And I was saying we technically do not know that because,
We
as
don't
you
know that
said, a
Charlie. Hold
man would
on.
not
You're right.
tell
You're
his
absolutely
wife
right, Basil.
if
You're
he
right.
cheated on his
Hold on,
wife.
Basil. You're right. We don't know if Charlie Kirk cheated on Erica Kirk. We know that Martin Luther King Jr. cheated on Coretta many, many times.
That is true, but then again, you can't agree that it was different times, and it was the people were more honest during
Sin
that
is the
time
same. Sin is the
versus
same,
now.
buddy. Sin is the same, buddy. You're trying to what you're trying to do is you're trying to tell us, well, we don't know what Charlie Kirk did. Do you think cheating on Coretta was Martin Luther King's only discretion? You think that was his own sin? Like, again, we're all human and we all sin, but not all sins are the same in the eyes of God, and they're definitely they're not the same in the eyes of people. I'm not a God. I'm not a deity. Okay. I am self-aware enough to know and understand that it is very easy to give into temptation. When you give into temptation, that shows a weakness and a lack of character. This is something that I have struggled with my entire life. Martin Luther King is one of the greatest humans to have ever walked the face of the earth. And he is the very reason that I can sit here and talk about this right now. But morally, ethically, in terms of being a good husband, I'm sure Martin Luther King was a great father, and I'm sure it's probably a good husband too. The man cheated on his wife. And for that reason, Charlie Kirk was a better man than Martin Luther King Jr. I'll give you the last word.
Okay, I disagree because I think
You
that
disagree
Martin
because
Luther
he's
King
black.
was a more honest man.
So you think
I
Charlie
disagree
Kirk
with
is
that.
lying about
But
not having
I believe
cheated?
he's a more honest man because a lot
You
of
think?
people.
Hold on,
not
let me
only
stop you
just
right there. You
me-
think he's a more honest
I
man?
think-
Wait, hold on, Basil. You think he's a more honest man, but he deceived his wife. It takes a level of deceit and dishonesty to step out on your wife. But Martin Luther King was the more honest man. Come on.
Hold on, and I'm saying this because a lot of people, not only me, say that Charlie Kirk also knew what was going on around in Israel, and he still
Israel is
defended.
not. Look, bro. Giving an opinion on Israel is not a sin.
I mean, what I'm saying is, if you know a genocide is going on, and then you still defend the country that is doing the genocide or the ethnic cleansing, that is still a sin because you know what's going on, and you're still continuing to push something that you know that is wrong, and that would also be considered a sin.
Okay, you know what? In the book, in the Basil Denson Bible, I guess Martin
No,
Luther King Jr.
it's
was a
not.
better man than Charlie Kirk.
Well, I believe he's a better man because he's achieved more than Charlie Kirk has.
No, you believe
during
Martin
his
Luther
time.
King is a better man than Charlie
No,
Kirk
not just
because
because
he's
he's
black.
black. I
No,
know that's
yes, you
the
do,
only
and
reason
that's
you're saying.
Basil. That's what it is. You
That's
reverse the
wrong.
races. This
No,
is a different
it's wrong.
conversation,
It's not
bro.
true. I
You're
believe
smiling
Martin Luther
because you
King
know I'm
achieved more
right.
than
This
Charlie Kirk
guys,
during his time.
what is happening here, gentlemen? And now I'm going to talk to the crowd here. What is happening, guys? This is low key
ahead.
indirect racial tribalism. Okay. You are using No, hold on.
That could
Let me
be
finish.
further- that could be
Let
further from
me
the truth,
finish.
though.
Let me finish respectfully. You are using disingenuous arguments. We don't know what Charlie Kirk did. You're right. We don't know. We know what Martin Luther King Jr. did. Martin Luther King was the more honest man. Well, you can think that if you want to. The man cheated on his wife, repeatedly cheated on his wife. It takes a level of deceit and dishonesty to cheat on your wife. For those reasons, Martin Luther King accomplished more. He was more influential. He did a lot of
hasn't
good.
accomplished more,
He deserves his own holiday. But in my opinion, Charlie Kirk was a better man than Martin Luther King Jr.
Did you say Kirk accomplished more?
No, I said Martin Luther King Jr. accomplished more.
Okay.
Come on, man.
You're right.
And you said you're a conservative. And here's the thing, Basil. Here's the thing. You said you're conservative. I'm calling bullshit. I don't think you're conservative at all.
I literally voted for Trump.
I don't give a shit. Just because you voted for Trump doesn't mean you're conservative.
Okay, but I mean, but you believe just because he cheated on his wife means he's not a good man. He's not.
I did not say Martin Luther King Jr. was not a good man. You keep in order to win this debate, you keep putting words. No, hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. You keep putting words in my mouth. I've never said that Martin Luther King Jr. was a bad person or a bad human. Let me finish, please. I'll give you the floor. Never said that. So I would appreciate it if you would stop saying, well, that doesn't mean he's a bad person. I never said that means he's a bad person. Okay?
Okay. Well, you believe that because Charlie Kirk did not cheat on his wife, that makes him a greater man than him. And
yes, and you want to know what you want to know what else thinks that? The Bible thinks that. And last I checked, Martin Luther King and Charlie Kirk and Martin Luther King and Charlie Kirk serve the same God.
You don't even so you don't even follow the Bible. So I was not trying to say that as in a religious term, but it doesn't matter.
So you mean to tell me that in the Bible it says that it's okay for a man to cheat on his wife? Is that what you're saying?
A man can. There's been people who cheated on their wives in the Bible.
Absolutely, David and Bathsheba.
That's all at the end of the day that matters, because in the Bible it states that we're all sinners.
Right.
Just because Charlie Kirk sinned at a different time, it doesn't matter. As long as he repents and he believes he's Christian, he can still be saved, because in the Bible, God believes we're all sinners. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter what you say, God would still see Charlie Kirk as a sinner. He wouldn't be like, oh, just because he didn't cheat on his wife, that makes him a better man.
I never said that Charlie Kirk was not a sinner. I never said that Charlie Kirk wasn't a sinner. I definitely never said Charlie Kirk was perfect.
Human side on how everybody sees it. They will not say on average that Charlie Kirk was a better man than Martin Luther King Jr. That's what I'm saying. And what I'm saying,
and want to know why? And you want to know why? Because you're thinking about black people. See, right now you're in your feelings.
No,
okay?
I'm talking about on average. If you did a poll
on average, listen,
influential, who was the better man, Martin Luther King or Charlie Kirk? I'm saying most people would say Martin Luther King, because Martin Luther King was a hell of a man.
He was a hell of a man, but Charlie,
any man.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
He was a hell of a man. He accomplished a lot more than Charlie. Well, he accomplished a lot more in his lifetime than Charlie Kirk ever did. But as far as moral character within the confines of his marriage before God, Charlie Kirk was a better man than Martin Luther King.
But God's out of the situation, because
no, he is not out of the situation. No, don't see. Oh, see, now you're trying to remove God. Basil, my friend, you're arguing in bad faith. You're arguing in bad faith.
God's not going to look at it, oh, because you cheated on your wife, that makes you less of a man.
Nobody said that Martin Luther King was less of a man for cheating on his wife. I said that Charlie Kirk was more of a man for not cheating on his.
All right, so we're going to agree to disagree, because I disagree with you on this one.
What about Obama?
Charlie Kirk was not a good man. He was a good man, but I do not think he was on the level of Martin Luther King Jr.
I didn't say that he was on the level of. I did not. Basil, and maybe I'm guilty. Maybe I'm guilty because I didn't communicate this properly.
Because you have a lot of followers.
Basil, I need you to shut the fuck up and let me finish. Okay, I've been courteous to this point. I didn't want to get nasty. Let me finish, and I promise you, I will let you talk. I did not say that Charlie Kirk was this. All right, cool. You want to be like that? Cool. Then you can leave.